If you like vintage-inspired home decor like I do, and you like to decorate for Valentine's Day, then you're in the right place. And today, I have a special video just for you. I'm going to take you step by step how I've decorated our home for Valentine's Day in a very soft approach. Now, I haven't gone crazy. I've just added a few touches here and there. And the best part of all, I have a free gift for you at the end of this video that's going to help you decorate with some of the items that I've decorated with. Be sure to stay tuned all the way to the end so you can find out how to get that free gift. I also have a blog post to go along with this video, and I'll have it linked down in the description. Now let's get started. To start off with, I wanted to add a couple of vases to our fireplace mantle. Now I'll show you how they look on our mantle later. But this is what I did. I happen to have these little glass jars. They came in a package of 6. I got them from Hobby Lobby several years ago. I've painted them more than once. You see they start out white, but they actually started out clear. They're so easy to change out for any season. And I just turned the word dairy to the back so you never see it. It just looks like a little glass bottle. This soft pink color was perfect for Valentine's Day. It's not too bright pink. It's just this soft, dusty rose. I just love it. And it only took one coat, and then it was time to clean the paintbrush. Now this scrubby bar of soap is amazing for cleaning out paintbrushes and just getting things clean in general, but definitely for paintbrushes. It has a Scrub Daddy material on one side, and then the soap side is citrus based, so it has oils in it that's really good for your paintbrush and really good for your hands. I don't have to wear gloves, and I can even use that scrubby soap to clean my skin where I got the paint on it. So after I get it all cleaned, I just wrap the paintbrush up in a paper towel and I lean it up so that all the water will drain down. And this takes care of the paintbrushes. The paintbrushes that I have are an investment. They're really high quality and I want to take care of them. So this scrubby soap is perfect for that. The next thing I'm going to work on are some printouts that I'm going to make. Now I'll get to that, but first step, you need to take that watercolor paper. By the way, everything's going to be linked down in that description. And I'm recommending that you use watercolor paper because the thing that we're going to print is a watercolor design, and this watercolor paper will make it look even more realistic. You do have to cut down that watercolor paper. It comes in a 9x12, so I used my paper cutter and I cut it down to fit an 8.5x11, like what would happen in a standard printer. You can see the texture on it. It's really a pretty paper. You can only print one piece at a time because this paper is thick. And by the way, did you notice that little note that I have on my printer? So I did a test one day to figure out what side the printer would print on so that I could make sure that I got it on the right side. And then I just taped a little Post-it note to the top so that I would always know how to place that paper in the printer. Here's one of the little freebies that I have to offer. Now I'm going to tell you more about these freebies here in just a minute. In the meantime, I'm just using some scissors and I'm cutting out these hearts. I have 2 designs over in my freebie library. This is one of them, and I have another design. You'll see it at the end. Now to get to that freebie library is super easy. All you have to do is click the link down below in the description. It'll say gain access to the freebie library. I'll have something like that. You'll see it about the freebie library. And when you enter your email, you'll gain access to all sorts of printables, including these that I have made for Valentine's Day. Once you've printed out all of the hearts, and there are 4 on each sheet, and they're all different hearts. There are 8 different hearts. You'll see them here, all the selection. Once you get them all cut out, and you'll also notice that I cut around and left a little white space all around the hearts. It kind of frames it out. You can either cut on the line or leave the extra. Anyway, grab this wire that I have. This is a really thin wire that I have for crafting. It's wonderful, super flexible, and I just keep a spool of it on hand. If you don't have the wire, you could also use jute to make this pretty little garland. I measured out a piece of the wire that I knew I needed for the length that I wanted to hang it on our fireplace mantle. And then I just marked out where I wanted to place each heart with a little fold in the wire. That way I would know exactly. They'd be pretty, spaced out pretty evenly, not perfect. I grabbed a piece of paper that I cut off from the watercolor and I used that to measure for the next heart. And I just measured all the way over. I just used hot glue and I glued it on. The longest part of this process is that glue drying or cooling off while the wire is sitting there. So I used my fingers. At one point, I laid my phone down to hold it in place because I'm not the most patient person. And I just glued all the hearts in a random order. There are 8 different hearts. One of them is green. I didn't use the green one, but you could, and you could place that green one in the center of your garland. You could put as many of the hearts as you wanted. I chose an odd number of hearts just because I'm an odd person and I like odd numbers. You can glue as many on there as you like. You can make several of these garlands and put them all around. This is such an inexpensive project, and I mean, who doesn't love a little heart garland for Valentine's Day? Instead of making the garland, you could just cut out these hearts and put a little note on the back side and just pass them out. If you have kids or grandkids and they need little Valentine's cards for their classroom, print these out and you guys cut them out together. Get the kids involved and let them enjoy making these little heart Valentines. While I'm still in printer mode, I'm going to go ahead and print off this pretty design. This is also included in the freebie library. It's a free frameable art. You'll see what we're going to do with that in just a minute. Now, you know I love to jump around from project to project, so I'm back at these bottles. Look at there on the left. Aren't they so pretty, all lined up in that lovely, soft, dusty rose color. Anyway, I had a couple of these faux flower bunches. Like the bunch was large and I didn't need it that large. So I separated the bunches and then I used some floral tape to just clean up the ends of it. This is a great way to really get a lot of bang for your buck. Buy a large group of floral stems and then take them apart and make individual ones. I've been doing this for years. And by the way, if you have a Hobby Lobby, go, because their florals are always half price. Let's dive into some of the decorating. Now my table is still set up from Christmas. You see here, these are just some simple pine and cypress branches. Actually, those aren't cypress. Someone here on YouTube told me what they're called and now I've forgotten. Maybe they were juniper. If you know, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, I took the pine branches out. They had a lot of sparkly, little sparkles on them, and I didn't want that for Valentine's Day. But I left the other branches, those cypress or juniper, whatever they are. I left them in those really large ironstone pitchers. And I think I only paid about $5 for each one of those pitchers. I'm always looking for mismatched pitchers, and I love ironstone. So I kept those out, and the table right now is pretty large, and I'm going to have to pull that leaf out. Now the leaf we have 2 leaves in this table. I only have 1 in there right now. Each leaf is 24 inches, so it makes this table massive. And I don't have holiday plans coming up soon with a large gathering, so I decided to take the leaf out. I probably should have gotten my husband to do this. It's kind of hard on my back. He usually is the one that does it. Anyway, I'm not patient, and you know that, so I'm going to put this table back together. And this table, the way that I have it set up, seats 6 people, which is plenty. And it'll be easier to decorate because it's less space. So I just took those branches, and I like to put most of it towards the area of the pitcher where it would be like pouring out, so that almost the branches are pouring out. I know that's a weird way to think about it, but that's what I do. Now the roses that you see, I got 1 bunch of those roses at my local Michael's store, and I cut them apart again to get more bang for my buck. I cut them apart so I could put them exactly where I wanted them. The berries are left over from a Christmas garland from probably 15 years ago. I took that garland apart, and I've been using these berries over and over and over again. I've really gotten my money's worth out of them. That's a tip. It's a great way to really get more for your money when you take florals apart and then use them for different seasons. Those berries are not just for Christmas. I bought white ones, and I can use them all throughout the entire year in different arrangements. All right, so we're going to get this table put together. These tablecloths that I have, actually, they're a table runner that I made from a tablecloth. And I used to sell at a vendor booth, and we would sell these often. I would take an old tablecloth that had some damage in them, and I would cut them down, hem them around all the sides, and make a little table runner. And they really sold. It was a great way to get a table runner out of a vintage tablecloth. I really did enjoy making these. Now I put two of them together. It wound up not being the look I liked. I like to bunch up usually the fabric because I like the way that looks. But in this case, it just didn't work out. So I took the smaller of the table runners and I just laid it out flat. Now my table runner is a little wonky. It's not exactly square, and I'm okay with that. I like that it's not perfect because it's handmade, and I like things to look handmade. Now those plates I took down from my plate wall at Christmas. We'll get to that here in a minute. And I put them underneath those ironstone pitchers to pull the color from the brass candlesticks. Well, you'll see the whole thing here in a minute. So here's my plate wall, and I did some very simple changes. You probably remember these pretty little plates that I bought for 25 cents each. And I just changed out the plates and I hung them to add some color for Valentine's Day. I kept those green ones from, I think they're called the Old Curiosity Shop. I think I've got that name correct. I'm not really sure. And I just hung them up. I'm going to change out the arrangement that I had for Christmas with those cotton bowls with the pine and the boxwood. I'm just going to simply change that out with the same greenery that I put in the pictures. You can see there are those little berries, and the more I think about it, I think that's juniper. And now that I'm seeing those berries, juniper bushes have those little berries. So this is juniper. It's greenery, and it works for any season, really, especially in the winter months. So I just laid down a base of these, and you can see again, these are all separate pieces because I took the main bunch of this greenery apart so that I could lay it out the way that I wanted to use it. I laid that all out as a base, and then I had these little pink flowers that kind of look like baby's breath. And in hindsight, I should have cut these apart. It would have been easier than what I'm doing here. And I might even go back in there later today and change that out. But for now, it worked out. I just put it in the center, and then I just spread out that baby's breath to add color here and there. And you see some of the juniper is falling. I'll take care of that. And then I also had some of the flowers left over from the milk bottles because I had them all in different sections, and I placed those in there here and there just to add a little bit of a light color. And I like how these look. They're kind of dainty, and it just adds another layer to this floral arrangement. Back to the printable. Now remember, I printed that design off, and I'm going to change out the little artwork that I have with these magnetic frame holders. This is a great thing. I love these. I'll have them linked down below. I just popped out this art. I had painted that little partridge in a pear tree back at Christmas, and I didn't paint one for this season, but I did use this printable. It's hard to see on camera with my lighting, but it's a pretty it's roses in the shape of a heart with a little bit of greenery, and I use that magnetic frame to hold it in place. Again, I printed that little heart on watercolor paper because it makes it look more realistic. So if you decide to print this, make sure that you put it on the watercolor paper because it'll just really elevate the look of it. This plate wall display that I have in my dining room is so easy to change out for the seasons. And then with this printable art and those magnetic frames, I can just add a little touch of whatever the season is. I'll use more of that brown wire, and I just loop it around to a command hook that I have up there. I hide the wire, and instant art. Let's move over to the living room, and here's the fireplace with that heart garland and the little milk bottles, and then the frame TV that we have. I added some artwork from Etsy. Now you can get artwork on Etsy if you have a frame TV for $1 and $2, and it's an amazing way to change the look of your TV screen for just a couple of bucks. It's super easy to do. I'm going to have that TV linked below. This is a gift that my husband and I gave to each other a couple of years ago for Christmas, and we have never looked back. The garland adds a touch of whimsy to the fireplace mantle. I've just tucked that wire underneath some of the ironstone pictures that I have up there. The milk bottles with the little white flowers, perfect. The gold candlesticks with the battery-powered candles, I mean, just perfect. Over in the dining room, you can see the wall display that I have. I just really love the look. There's that little floral arrangement, and it sits on top of a stack of vintage Happy Hollister's books that belonged to my husband when he was a kid. Isn't that so cool? The pop of red is perfect for Valentine's Day, and it helps to carry the color all the way through from the plates all the way down. The little bits of pink in the floral arrangement, and then that heart in the center. It's just perfect. Let's move over to the dining room table, and you can see here I kept it kind of simple. There are those ironstone pitchers sitting on top of the plates with the gold trim, the faux roses, the berries, the Leland cypress, the juniper branches. I'm never going to get that right. I also added some of the collection of my brass candlesticks with battery-powered candles, and they just add the perfect touch to the dining room table. We usually eat at our kitchen island, so I didn't want to neglect that little spot. I grabbed an ironstone platter. It's kind of a rectangle. It's unusual in shape. And then I added a red transferware pitcher and these adorable little button flowers that one of my daughters and I made about 1,000,000 years ago. Just kidding. It's just wire with buttons attached to the ends, and I made a little curlicue, and they're like a little flower arrangement. So cute. I added leftover berries and then the leftover faux greenery and more of those printed hearts just sitting upright on those pillar candles. And those are battery powered candles, by the way. And it's just enough for a centerpiece for the kitchen island. Weren't those easy projects? I hope that you're inspired to decorate your home with some Valentine touches here and there. Now let's go over what we talked about. First was that heart garland. And I'm going to tell you how to get those little hearts in just a minute. But weren't they the cutest? I have this one, and you saw all the other ones. There was a green one too. I didn't show that one. But you can get these, and as well as that printable that I have there in the back of the dining room. And I forgot to tell you about something. Printable greeting cards for Valentine's Day. So I made 4 of them, and here they are. Here's the first one. This is, you have the key to my heart. I hope that's coming in. There we go. And let's see what else. All these little greeting cards are printable. You can print them on regular cardstock. I would recommend cardstock, not printer paper. That's not quite heavy enough. But you can print them out and then send them to whoever the recipient is. Maybe you have some special little ones in your life that could use a little Valentine's love. That's where mine are going as soon as I get the envelopes addressed. Speaking of the envelopes, I have these wonderful little brown craft envelopes. I like using these for these kind of projects. You buy them by the box, and I just keep them on hand. That way, whenever I print out one of these cards or any of the other cards, I always have an envelope. Now, speaking of printables and being able to access all of this, I'm going to include the link down in the description just below this video. So if you scroll down just a little bit, whether you are on your computer or possibly on your phone, just below the video, there's a section that will say show more and then 3 dots. When you touch those 3 dots or the show more words, it expands and you'll see all the links and all the information that I'm always talking about here on my videos. Down in that description, I will include a link to the blog post about all these projects. And then there you can see all the supplies that I've used. I'm including the paint color, that scrubby soap that's amazing, the watercolor paper, a paper cutter, all sorts of things that you saw me use in this video. You'll also see where you can join the freebie library. I'll have it linked. It'll say something like gain access for the freebie library or something like that. Basically, you're signing up for an email, and don't worry, I don't sell your email to anyone. I promise, pinky promise, that I will not sell it. All I do is send you a little email here and there saying, hey, I have a new blog post. Hey, I have a new video, and that's really about it. But when you join that email list, you will be able to get into the freebie library. And I have these Valentine's designs as well as lots of other designs. Spring is coming up. I have a ton of them for spring. I have phone wallpapers and more greeting cards and all sorts of things. I know that you're going to enjoy it. So be sure to click that link and sign up for that email. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.